What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the court, and this is actually a very, very important issue, and one that needs to get the word out, like all the way to the very top. Many of you may have remembered a few years ago when corporations started debanking people. What is that term? Well, it would be like when a bank said, "Hey, you're a Trump supporter. We don't want your business." Generally, I am in favor of a business choosing who they serve. However, in America, there is a virtual monopoly when it comes to banking and credit cards, both getting a credit card and credit card processing. The overwhelming majority of all credit card processing, meaning if somebody wants to pay me money for a product, it goes through Stripe. And Stripe has now said, hey, if you're a conservative, if you think there are only two genders, if you think that two men buying babies is wrong, we are going to refuse your business. And this is now happening to Daily Wire employees, in particular Michael Knowles. And I want to share awareness, and I hope that you'll leave a like on the video and you'll share this. We need to get this to the very, very top. By the way, part of censorship, partly related to censorship, just want to remind everybody, my daily live stream with Hannah Claire, Melanie Mack, and Luke Rodowski and guests has moved to quartering live. It's hard to find in the YouTube search, so I'm going to leave it linked in the description. And I hope that you'll subscribe and you'll tune in at 2 Eastern, Monday through Thursday, and 1 Eastern on Fridays. Help us get that live stream channel going if you're a YouTube-only viewer. We're also live on Twitch, Rumble, X, and Kick if that's what you want. So, or if that's where you want to watch. But if you're YouTube only, please check that out. Hi, Stripe. Are we still doing this debanking thing? Was it something I said? If we say men can't be women, if we donate to pro-life charities, if we oppose two men buying eggs, renting wombs, and commoditizing babies, does that come at the cost of debanking? Meaning, again, you're not allowed to make money. You're not allowed to store money. All this stuff. And by the way, I don't know why Elon hasn't weighed in on this, but he hasn't yet, but I suspect hopefully soon. X pays its monetized users through Stripe. By the way, this is something everyone warned Elon about, that Stripe is prone to political attacks. The same way that we saw these feminists get video games banned yesterday. It wasn't my most popular video, but they went after credit cards and credit card processors. I began receiving this notice even though I had a perfectly functional Stripe account. Hi, Michael Knowles. Your account is accruing revenue, but you haven't set a Stripe account to receive your payout. Link your account today to receive your share of creator revenue. An innocent mistake, I assumed. I reached out to Stripe, and Leah, a delightfully unhelpful Stripe employee, confirmed that a, quote, hold on my account, but said I had to contact X for the content of the hold email they sent to X, despite the fact that Stripe themselves sent the email. So essentially, Stripe said, hey, we have a hold on Michael Knowles' account. We're going to send it to X, but they're not going to tell Michael what they told X, which seems odd given it pertains directly to him. Well, I worked on reaching out to X. I called Stripe. They confirmed that my previous payouts were, quote, temporarily disabled, but instead insisted that they would only share the details of said hold with X, not me, whose money they were holding. Very, very odd, right? Stripe says that they began this effort back in October 2024. I wonder what was going on in October 2024. That might have emboldened payment processors to debank conservatives. Could it have possibly been my vocal support of someone they had already tried to debank? Stripe stops processing payments for Trump campaign website. This was actually back in 2021. And again, this should be illegal. This should be something that Donald Trump should be paying attention to. And I hope, he finds that it's more important than whatever the Washington Commanders want to call themselves. I asked Stripe what happened in October. They admitted that, quote, it looked confusing. They said it would be better to contact X to rule out if your speculation is correct. But I wasn't speculating. I had only asked Stripe what they had said to X about placing a hold on my account. So Stripe placed the hold they keep trying to pass the buck and say, oh, well, you have to talk to X. Now it's July 2025, 9 months since the hold email, and 6 months since Stripe officially cut access to my X payouts. I've yet to receive any clear answer. They don't deny that there is a hold or that they're, quote, temporarily disabling of my account. They just keep telling me to ask X, so I did. Hi, we have confirmed this issue is not on our end. You'll need to log into Stripe and contact them to sort this out. FYI, you can also verify Stripe's policy restrictions here as they pertain to your account. So X keeps saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with your account, right? Like we there's no reason why it should be, why it's getting held. We're not in charge of it. Basically, they're giving them the runaround, as I can best describe it. Since I haven't been distributing fake IDs, selling drugs, or jamming telecommunications equipment, it seems Stripe concluded that my political opinions had somehow violated their policy against encouraging unlawful practices or encouraging unlawful bad behavior against certain demographics. That's, he's saying, hey, this is the only, possible, policy violation that I could have had. And, I agree that it must be, because there's obviously, he's not taking part in any of these other issues that, seem to be, that would lead to him being debanked. Of course, I've never encouraged any unlawful attacks against anyone, but in the absence of any real explanation from Stripe, I can only conclude that they've now decided that certain conservative opinions amount to, quote, illegal activity. This is not a small problem. Stripe handles more than $1 trillion in payments every year. Millions of businesses rely on their tech. If they can put a hold on my money for no reason, then they can do it to anyone. Is that the plan, Patrick KC? This is the Stripe CEO. It's somebody that I'm following because, obviously I want to see if they react to this. And what's interesting is a tweet with 30,000 likes has yet to be replied to. Now, he has not been on X, or he hasn't replied to anybody in a little while, but this debanking nonsense is not new. Ultimately, you see, let me grab this here. Stripe and PayPal halt payments to Trump's campaign and supporters. This happened back in 2021. CNBC's McKinsey Don't Care brings you the day's top stories. Stripe, which processes payments for President Donald Trump's campaign, cut ties with him for violating its policies during last week's riot, which he had nothing to do with, at the U.S. Capitol. San Francisco-based company said that Trump encouraged the bad behavior when a mob of his supporters, when a small amount of them got a little out of hand. The quick move, that prohibits high-risk activities. We also know that they have banned other people. Stripe discriminates against witches. Interesting. So witches is, that's who the mainstream media is getting up to support. When I decided to offering tarot readings, selling them through my website, it seemed like the easiest method. I'm a writer. I prefer to get my readings in a written format. After a few months, I received notice from Stripe that my sales violated their terms of services, as my tarot work seemed to fit into their broad category of psychic services. Well, I would argue that it does. If you're into tarot cards, you're into this kind of stuff, that's fine. It's still entertainment purposes only. After emailing them back to defend my business to no avail, I restructured my payment to work with PayPal and continue to offer my services to their website in limited capacity. Then in early 2020, with the start of the lockdowns and subsequent loss of my freelance photography income, I launched a Substack selling my witchcraft, and that was also banned. Well, what's interesting is, occult work being classified as high risk. What? And by the way, the TLDR on this is that Stripe eventually allowed witches to use their service. I'm not kidding. They eventually allowed witches to use Stripe, but not Michael Knowles. He's not allowed to. And what I thought was interesting is, I might also reach out to Congress and federal and state regulatory agencies. I think that this should go all the way to DC. This is one of the things I know websites like Rumble are working on and many others. You see, here's Stripe that replied. By way of follow-up, we can confirm that the restrictions placed on your account were not taken unilaterally by Stripe, but were the result of a legally binding order that was issued to us. Our support team previously reached out to X in regards to this matter, as my dog burst in here like a bull in a china shop. I mean, so who sent Stripe a legal notice? And why can't they have Michael Knowles? I mean, who said, hey, Stripe, you're not allowed to process Michael Knowles' payments or conservatives' payments? I don't even understand who issued that. It's like Stripe is being purposely misleading. And here you say, hi, Michael, we certainly understand. Here's a DM. I've also been suspended for creator payouts for no reason. X support doesn't work. You guys don't respond either. Now, this is apparently some crypto individual. I don't know. But Stripe did personally respond and say, oh, well, this is the reason why. I don't see that. This is very, very odd. And this is a very, very big issue that needs to get a lot more light. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.